Well, welcome back to part 12 of the D7 Battlecruiser build. Today we're going to start painting the top and doing some putty sanding. So, let's go take a look. So, I don't remember exactly where I left off last time, because it's been a while. I was doing some video editing and other things, so I haven't really overly worked on this in a while. But, I got these impulse decks glued on, so they're on there now. There's our positive and our negative pins that I'm going to hook wires to. This is the Klingon version, so I have the red lights there. I got that flash flickering light there that I'm going to have to paint. Actually, I'm going to paint. I found out I can put a little clear plastic piece in there. I don't want to put in there yet because I got painting to do, and I really don't want to mask that grid that I put in there, which was from the Katinga photo etch. Yeah, I had leftover pieces. But it's coming out all right. Painting the gray over there, I still got a little bit of light through there. You can kind of see it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Tamiya panel scraper once I finalize it, but I know I'm going to get overspray. I wanted to get these painted the gray, and that's the gray I think I'm going to go with. I don't want an overly light gray. I want to, because I want a good healthy green for the underneath. Thought about going with a light green or lighter green, but I wanted it at least so I could see the seam. So that's why I grayed. I already painted them, but they're glued on. I did some window maker around there, especially in the back. I actually, one of these, I think it was this one, I actually had to bend the this part of the ship to get it to bend up in there. I don't want to do too much. And then I had to get some window maker down inside there. So hopefully it shines some light through, but I think the gray will block it because the gray is blocking it pretty good everywhere else. But I got a lot of coats on this too. But yeah, I believe it's ready to, I want to do this whole top gray. That way I can get the seam work in here good. And then when I plop it on the ship, we'll touch up the edge because this whole part gets green anyway. I believe, though, these parts get the gray, and then we'll tape off. But I'm not sure if I want to do the whole thing gray and then, or green and then just mask that off. I'll go right across with that little seam there, that line where you can see the, and we'll come across. But I think it's all green but on the top part, so yeah, I don't know if I'll figure that out, but it'll be easier. It'll be easier to do the gray and then do the green and just mask that off and mask the top. That might be actually easier. Less taping in weird ways. But yeah, the Tamiya scriber fits in these slots perfect. So I can, once I'm done doing the gray, before I do a clear to seal it, I can scrape the gray paint away, and that allows the light to really shine through. And fingers crossed that it keeps working, because I want to do silver in those, at least for the Klingon, because that's how the D7 is. This one I have a little more liberty, the Romulan version, but I'm thinking I'm going to do the same, scrape and do the silver in there, and hopefully the silver will thin out a lot, so it just gives a light color and won't block the light. But the same thing happens there if I scrape the paint out of there, it shows through. So, and this is the revised Or no, that's the older version. This is the revised version. Also, the Klingon, the newer version, the Klingon, or the Klingon ship that I'm making, the Klingon D7, the newer version comes with chrome parts. Let me grab them. The newer version comes with chrome. The older version comes with not chrome. But here's the thing. I was looking. This is the older version. You actually have to glue these pieces here. Actually get glued like that. They'll actually get put there. And as you can, I don't know if you can see, the part has a little notch right there, and that's what notches around that. The newer version doesn't have that notch. It has these grids already there, which is supposed to be, according to the box, more accurate detail. So they just get painted silver. So I'm like, if I'm going to paint these silver, but the chrome parts come with all this, and of course that'll get painted silver. Why, then I got these chrome pieces here that aren't going to get used. So I'm going to use all these chrome on the older version and use these non-painted ones, which I will just paint silver. I'm going to use on the newer version since I don't need to use these. So, and that'll keep some consistency unless I get rid of the chrome and go with silver. But I kind of like having that difference. So this is going to be the Klingon, which I'm going to paint silver, and that's even those little bars that will get eventually glued here. And this, those pieces get glued there, and then there's these pipes here that will go in those holes. So those will be silver. So then it's going to be consistent that on this ship, because this is the Romulan, that I use the chrome parts for there, and here, and up on its impulse deck. We'll put those chrome parts there. And then I'll just paint these parts, these things here. I think I'm still going to go with a silver. I think that's going to be the best way to go. So I decided to swap. And that way the Klingon ship's consistently a silver. All this is silver. And that'll look good, I think. So yeah, instead of wasting these chrome parts, but only using these. I'd rather not use these. And the same thing with the Klingon ship. I think this is going to be either, I might do them silver, but I know on the Klingon they show, on the model kit they show them green like the rest of the ship. And I might do them green like the rest of the ship. But to make the difference in the Romulan, I'll leave theirs chrome. Like they did almost like a refit to it. Even though it's an older kit, but we'll make it look like it's a refit, and they redesigned the impulse deck because that's what they changed too as far as the detailing. This one's definitely more kind of simplistic, but that's how it was in the original. Where this they made it a little more modern, but that's not accurate. So, but that'll be the Romulans are a little more sophisticated, more design wise, so that's why I wanted to make these older kit and Romulan, and it works out great how to make them different. So all those inaccuracies as far as the Klingon D7 can work for my Romulan D7, because I don't have any real true photos of the Romulan D7 that's in the show, because really I think all they did is take the original and just put a big bird on it. I don't even know if the original model ones. I know the CG version, the the high definition Blu-ray version of it, you know, remastered, has the bird, the Romulan bird thing down here. Which I do have those decals on order through JT Graphics. Hopefully he can get them to me quick. I know when I ordered him, his website was under construction, so you couldn't order from the website. So I emailed him on what I wanted. I ordered 2 Klingon bases too. Looks like, which is very smart. Looks like what he does is he takes his leftover resin from casting things, instead of just throwing it away, because you always have to make more, you know, when you're casting, because you don't know exactly how much you're going to need. So you got to approximate, but you have leftover, and you might have multiple leftovers. So what he does is he has these molds and he pours the leftovers, and it could be mixed colors. It could look like a whole marble, swirly, clear, green, blue, whatever. He uses all that waste because you're going to paint that base anyway, so it doesn't matter if it's made out of different colored resins. And that's smart. It's a way not to throw away the resins, and you get a part for it out of it. And so I know in the description it say it may be multicolored. But yeah, I ordered 2 Klingon bases. These I'm going to use the domes. The newer version came with a dome. As you can see, it has the peg, the hole for the peg to sit on the dome base. The normal, you know, polar lights, or the normal round 2 dome base. Okay, so we got that back. So that's what's going on with that. But yeah, I'm gonna get these are all sanded and I think ready for paint. So that's what we're gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do next with those. And while I'm going in between coats, I still have all this sanding to do yet on him. So, of course, we already sanded the neck, but we have that, and this one's there. Those seams look good. I sanded all this, so all this one's all sanded. But I do have to, I want to touch up in there because I see some bumpies, and I do have to hit with my get down to the 800. I think this is just 320, so I'll go hit it light with 400, and then I'll hit it with some 800, and then we'll paint. Then these are ready to paint. But before we paint that, is this the one? As you can see, if I put this nacelle completely flat, this one's up in the air. There's a little twist in this body, this like that. I'm finding there's a lot of twists in this, and I'm surprised for this newer kit. But hey, the NX1 had it too. And definitely in the Cobra's head, there is a twist. She is this way. And we need to twist her like that. And it's common, it's in both. This one sits good in nacelles. Pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty spot on, and that's the older kit. And I don't know, it's just, this is quite weebly. Is this more of a stiffer plastic? A little, but not by much. But I'm hoping when I glue the top on, it'll help push it into shape too. So that's a problem we gotta solve. This one I think is really twisted. Oh yeah, look at that. And she almost looks like she's flying like that. That's so, yeah, look at that. It doesn't follow the lines if you look at the nacelles. She is really like that, and it should be like that. I gotta really twist. You can see how much I gotta twist that. So, before I do any painting, because who knows if it's going to split open any seams. Shouldn't. I glued that pretty good, but if there's any little seam where that has just putty stuck in it or whatever, it could break. So we'll figure that out. And the only thing I can think of is taking my I have my little butane torch I can set far away, but I'm afraid that would still get too hot and hot spots. So I'm just going to take my hairdryer and I think slowly heat. It looks like mainly, I can see I got that shoved over a little bit like that, or it's twisted a little over like that. No, it's actually over just the hair, because that's lined up. But that's okay. That's another detail that the Romulan will have that this one doesn't have, is those blocks there. But if I remember correctly, there's a little gap in the hole here. But I'm pretty much, that's just the way it is. But yeah, I think all I have to heat up is here. I think it's here. Yeah, you can even see it starts to right here go and twist over. So, which works for my advantage. It's this little thin spot here that I can sit there and just hit with my dryer and just slowly twist that and try to get it like that until it stays on its own. This one's not so bad, but it's there. So you can really see it when they're just sitting there like that. But not from the camera, but and the wires are all hooked up. Everything's working good. The engines are working great. Hopefully when I paint them they don't block too much. But the lights behind them are pretty intense, so it should be good. They could use a little dimming anyway, so. I haven't hooked up the SMD that's going to light up the lights in this neck, because I got to drill the holes for that yet, and so there's a lot still more to do with that. But okay, I don't know which one I want to tackle first, but I think I'm going to get started in some coats on that, and then start sanding away. This one I haven't started yet. I think I should finish this one. Put a little putty in here, and then that spot putty the spot putty dries fairly quick. So, good old glazing putty. Works great. That dries pretty quick, and I can get that in there, and it sands really easy. Fix that, make that nicer. Because that is going to be a visual. Yeah, there's like a little hole right there where like glue squirted up, and I'm wondering if it was even super glue, where I used super glue to help hold this to that, because it was kind of wanting to bend, even though all this was hitting and all that looked good, it still had a little gap there, and it also helped it hold it together, because there's no real way to clamp this. There's no real way to clamp or tape this neck on, so did 95% model cement, and then I did a little super glue right on that end just to help hold it there, and then put a lot of model cement in there, and that neck's on there. So yeah, I think we'll finish sanding this off, finish one, move to the next, and yeah, I think that's where we're at. So I'm gonna go do that, and I will be back, and we'll see the results. Well, alright, so I got my paint mixed up. I'm gonna use my airbrush that's pretty much designed for the straight-on painting instead of detail work. It's got a bigger needle or opening. I like the jars because you can fill a lot of paint instead of, this guy here. Where that this one's nice because it's still a double action. But I don't need all that for this. I'm just straight on painting, so let's give this a try. Only got one of the fans on because this is a craft acrylic, so it's, oh yeah, that's spraying nice. It's not really, you know, no real odor to it. Tape the bottom just in case. Tape the light bulb so I don't get any through that engine opening that I did. So let's see what happens. Now, being a water-based paint, sometimes at first it's not going to want to lay down as nice. Careful here. Sliding all over. So usually your first coat's a little weird. Until it dries. We can help that happen with our hair dryer. Sorry for all the noise. That's good enough. I'm not going to over dry it because I want it to kind of level itself. So it looks a little blotchy, but and I already see kitty hair. I don't have a model, I think, that doesn't have at least one cat hair in it. That must have been Jackie Boys. And I got that out of there with pretty minimum issue. I don't know what those are there. point. I might have to make up more paint there. I don't want to sit it on that mat because that mat has hair everywhere, and dust and dirt. I got a stink bug on my go. Yeah, I might have burned through that already. That's one thing, this will burn through paint real quick. I didn't make a lot, but yeah, I definitely know I'm going to need more than that. So, let's mix up some more really quick. I'm going to put a shot of alcohol in there. I've seen people just completely dilute it with alcohol, and I've tried that. It gets funky. I don't know, it starts to clump. But I do mainly water, and I just add a little bit of alcohol. It just helps it dry a little better. I don't go crazy, but it does. Yeah, it's got a pretty good consistency. And I got this one dialed in a little better too. There we go. Before I had it set to like ultra spray. That's spraying more like our normal airbrush. That's what I should do, is get in these. I still want to be mindful not to because then that will make me have to really scrape a lot of paint out of there. That's better. That's better than the first coat. Of the other. Yeah. A little finer. This little curly hose that comes with this thing drives me crazy. I hate curly hoses. There we go, that one dried much nicer. It's definitely going to need more coats, but we'll jump to the other one. And but I'm going to end this here. Keep getting this painted up, and I'll show you we'll come back and we'll see what it looks like when it's completely done and dry. Okay, here we are. we got this started to get sanded. I just took a file to it. You know, I had to put a good amount of putty in these areas, so what I do is, and I'll just take a file and just lightly get it down, and it just makes it easier for you to have to sand. I still got to sand these areas, so I just noticed that. I missed those parts, but everything else is taken down on this and here, and I do got to do a lot of sanding in here, and then maybe touch up in there where the neck fits in there, just to close that gap. I might be able to do that with a little super glue, or even a thin. To me, a thin will fill in there. But other than that, it's looking good. And that's the Romulan ship. Here we are with the Klingon version of the D7, and it's all sanded and ready to go. Got it down with the 800. I want to hit that a little bit. It looks a little. Could be an illusion, but it looks a little rougher there. That's okay. Even got in here, and then once we do a primer coat, we can see where any weirdness is, because this is definitely going to probably be an area where we want a nice crisp line. So, and there all the putty came out, so I'm thinking that's just glue because it feels nice. But all these edges I feathered in nice. Where the engines come together. All this is looking good. I do have to do a little light sanding in there. Oh, and even got that piece glued on. Figure I would do that. That looks really good. We'll do a little sanding in there where you can see where I have little glue hits, but other than that, it looks pretty good. Top looks good. I fixed that little bubble. Little hole there was still there. But like I said, we'll hit it with a primer. We'll know if it needs a little more attention. So, but other than that, she is ready for paint. And I'm still debating if I go and drill these holes out first. I'm still going to, you can see some of the molded windows that are not open. These are drilled. I actually drilled those, but there's some actual raised imprints for windows. They all didn't sand off. There's something stuck there too. And we can't. Yeah, there it goes. So I think what I'm going to do with those is I wish I had my decals for this one especially, before I drill out more holes. Just to make sure the graphics at JT, the decals that I get from JT Graphics will, are the same as, and they should be. I've worked with his graphics before, and they always are nice, and they pretty much are a one-to-one representation of the originals, just better. Feeling a little bit of a gap here where I sanded. .400 here. It might be because these bulbs didn't really have a registry to them, so one was a little higher. As you can see, this side. Yeah, it's gone. I don't know why it was. Or I just missed it. It happens. You always want to go up and down with the thing, and this way. Both ways. It helps you. Yeah, that's way better. It didn't take much. Things could be shifting too. Who knows? Shouldn't be, but. But that's where this one is. It's pretty much ready to. Because all this feels good. And even though. Yeah, all that feels really good. It's just that little area there. And I just hear a creaking, and I kind of hate when I hear creaking because that means maybe something's not. This is another area I want to make sure it looks really good, is the nose. So I just keep going over it, especially this way because it helps match those two areas, and over the deflector area too, because there's a lot of things going on there. There's a little bump there, just a little, and it might feel little, but the paint might enhance it. So you see what I'm doing. And the paint might enhance that little bump, so might as well. Much better. Sometimes you're just sanding so much, you miss spots because you're just wanting to get over it. Sanding's not my most favorite thing to do. Once it's done, it is, because then you're like, wow, what a difference. And you get really excited that you took the time to do it right. It's when you spray it and it looks great. No seam work. I'm getting over a little cold here too, so a little under the weather this weekend. So, but yeah, she is ready to paint. Well, I think I'm going to put the tops on and stuff, and get wires up through and get the tops on. I do want to get the resistors on these and tie them in, check these lighting. Make sure everything's still working before I can't get to it again. Or it's a pain to get to it, but this one I still got to hit with the actual sandpaper, 320, 400, and then I'll hit it with 800. So like I said, I just got through the filing part. A lot of sanding got to be done in there, in that area. All this to get all this nice. But it wasn't too hard on the other one, and then we'll glue that piece on too, because that gives it a little more structure, because it closes that seam up there. But let me show you. I should probably wash my hands. I'll be right back. We'll wash my hands quick. Okay, I'm back. Here is the top portions of the back hull, of the hull. And I have hit them with the gray, and they look really good. A little cat hair. As I said before, there's probably cat hair in every model I've done. Now I have two cats, so now there's going to be 2 times the cat hair in every model I have. But anyway, that means they were a part of it. But yeah, that came out really nice. This is the Klingon version. Backside looks really good with the impulse engine I made. All the seam work is nice. I even took a brush and actually brushed the paint, especially in here, to kind of clean up where the grills meet this top. Because the airbrushed acrylic, I thin it out, but I'll just take and dip right out of the bottle and go in there, and then it levels itself out. It's pretty nice. So all that seam work looks good on both of them. Here's the Romulan version. The details on the wings really came out, and I like them. And a guy was showing me, I was watching somebody on YouTube was showing me how you could still see on the new versions where these were, because how they changed just the molds to make them be the newer version. You can see where they gotten rid of stuff, but still leaves a slight impression. I didn't really see it on mine, but I do like how that sticks out, and that to me works as an advantage of making the difference between the Romulan version and at least my interpretation of it, because it's a hard ship to really get a hold on unless you get real pictures of the actual filming miniatures. And so a ship that there's lots of pictures of, but it's more pictures of other people's models instead of the actual filming models. And it's the same thing with the refit. I had a pain in the neck to trying to find, you know, actual pictures of the filming miniature from ILM. Well, I think it was actually built by somebody else, wasn't that the refit? I don't know if ILM actually worked on that one. They did the A. I'm not sure. Not sure. Didn't really follow. I was more looking for reference photos. But anyway, so what I want to do with these is I need to allow the light to come through better. But that's pretty crazy. I have the blue tape there. I actually see blue coming through there, and that's cool. I got to scrape him so I don't have so many layers of paint on the grids. I'm gonna have to scrape this gray out now before I seal it. Because, you know, being an acrylic, even just the sweat on my hands can cause it to start to lift. So we need to scrape that, and then we'll seal it, and we'll be good. And we gotta do it on both. So I think that's what I want to start doing next. And it's just going to be simple. I'll probably do it off camera, and then we'll cut back and show you what it looks like. A great tool, this little Tamiya plastic scriber, version 2, I guess. But, you know, you got different little things going on here. That little hook, I guess, can come in handy for something. But then you have this actual pointy edge, which is good for that cutting motion, and you can go backwards too. But then you also have right here, there's like a little hook. It's flat, and there's a little barb off the edge there. Well, that works great for going down in these things and just scraping in that motion. And that's how I'm going to do this. But it's going to be time consuming because I want to be careful. There's probably a good amount of paint coats on here, especially these impulse decks. I hit quite a bit with some paint. Make sure all these edges look nice, and really, yeah, all the putty work there came out really nice. So I'm happy with that, and it was worth it. The more coats, the better your seams will look. Yeah, so you can't see, especially back here where all that seam work was too. So we'll cut away. I'll come back. We'll show you what that looks like, and then we can maybe start putting. I need to put wires onto these. Start closing that up. Figure out how I want to reflect this way too, and paint up the clear parts that I'm going to put back here. With the Romulan, this one here, the Klingon, is going to be red impulse engine and red here. So it's just red. But the Romulan, it's going to be green here, and I want to do a blue impulse engine. We only really see blue impulse engines on like the NX1. So, but I just wanted to show that this is, you know, I could have gone green and red, but I wanted to show that the Romulans are starting to mess with a different, because like in Next Generation you talk about like the Romulan Warbird is its engine is a singularity, which to me I think is, you know, dealing with like black holes and that type of energy or something like that. I don't recall exactly what they mean by it, but it's a singular whatever warp core thing. So definitely the Romulans have messed with different versions of engine propulsion, which creates the same effect. You know, still goes through a warp core, a coil, and blah blah blah, but they're using a different fuel. So I wanted them why they have some differences is because they are using a different propulsion system. So let's make their impulse engine a different color. But okay, I will see you guys shortly.